Hey guys, it's me, Wilson, and we're back for another video on F1 2021. We're here for round 11 of Psgl, and we're here for USA, as you can see. And yeah, going to be an interesting race. I've got a bit of a flu, so if I sound a little bit weird now and then, it's because I'm just a little bit clogged up.
Oh.
And this flu or cold or virus, whatever you want to call it, came about 20 minutes before last week's race, and it's still here. So it's fairly annoying, to be fair. But yeah, we just gotta get on with it. And yeah, so let's get back to the racing. We're here for USA. Actually felt pretty good for this track, much better than Singapore. PB was at high 29.9, but I done it like twice, and I was mainly doing 0.0s, 0.1s, and yeah, it didn't feel too bad. But this is one of the tracks you really want to get through to Q3 in the mediums, ideally. But so that's going to be one of the challenges for when we get to Q2. But now I skipped our first Q1 run. Our first Q1 run was a 30.5, and I wasn't sure if that was going to get us through. So I went out again, and we're going to go on board with this lap, as it might only be our only soft lap of the entire quali. You'll see, so going into turn 1, we brake just after the black meter border, just on it, and we do that very poorly. You might hear me slightly complaining. My brake pedal felt really weird an hour before this and going into it, so I messed up that a little bit. Then through this X section, all flat in these modern F1 cars, down to 5th gear here, up to 6th, back down to 5th, and this apex very nicely. And through here we miss clipping that inside curb, so we lose a lot of time there, and we actually go wide there. We don't really gain time though, so it's not really an issue. And then going through it into this hairpin. Do we do this any better? Round this corner, round this hairpin, and it's all right, but nothing impressive whatsoever. And we do gain time, but that's mainly because the lap before it was a really bad corner. Now going up to this next left-hander, brake just before the 100-meter road, take a lot of inside curb, and then using all the exit road on the exit of this corner. Sector 2 split is a 1.0, not great at all. Double up shift to 5th on the exit of this right-hander. Then going through this left, down to 3rd gear. We miss this apex as well, but back up to 4th, opening the steering wheels quickly as you can to minimise wheel spin on the exit. Then through this long right-hander, almost like the one in Turkey, but it's a right-hander this time. Then through the penultimate corner, a lot of inside curb, up to 6th, using all the roads on the exit, and through the final corner, 3rd gear, up to 4th, now opening the DRS up to the line, and it is a 30.3. It makes it a McLaren 1-2, and yeah, wasn't a great lap, but we got safely through. Our lap previously would have actually gotten us through anyway. But we move on to Q2. This is our first time on the medium tyre, and the lap hasn't been great. Obviously I haven't shown you, but it's been a fairly average lap. But we round the final corner on our medium tyres in Q2. It's a 31.601, which you can see in my face. I was pretty angry, and we actually come in to the pits and go out again on the medium tyre. And my thinking is the race is getting restarted due to desync, so either way we're going to have fresh mediums, and if we get through, we get through. If we don't, worst case scenario, we'll start maybe 11th, 12th, 13th, and we'll be null strat anyway, and I didn't really want to start in the softs. So you can see it's getting pretty dark now. The sun is dimming down, and we're starting our final lap on the medium compound tyre. This tyre has got about 4 or 5% wear on it, so it is going to be pretty unlikely that we improve, but if we do, it might be enough. We only need maybe half a tenth to get through on these medium tyres. It's very small margins here in Psgl, so going through turn 1, we just kind of missed that apex, and we lose half a tenth, so it's already half a tenth down. I could already feel going through this lap the tyres weren't 100%. Now through this X section, flinging it left, right, right, left, and then through to this right. We do that very nicely. Then back to the left. We actually improve our first sector by 300ths of a second. Then through this right, we clip that inside curve very nicely up the hill, through the left, and then down through this downhill left. It's decent. We're only 200s down. Now going into this hairpin, braking very late, 3rd gear, going into this hairpin. We actually have a little bit of a mistake. We go wide, but we lose time anyway. It's not been ideal whatsoever. Now going up to this straight. Can we make any improvements on our time? We're 1.5 hundredths down on our previous lap time. Now going into this next left-hander, coming into sector 3, nearly third gear. A lot of inside curb again. We do it fairly nicely. The apex speed was not there though, and we lose more time to our delta. It's a 0.7 split. It's still able to be worked with, but our last sector on the previous lap was pretty good. Through this left-hander hairpin, we do that very nicely. It's a cambered corner, opening the wheel up very quickly. Now through this right-hander, it's actually pretty difficult on these medium tires. You can see we're fighting the wheel a little bit. The rear end's getting a bit loose. Through the penultimate corner, we absolutely send it. There's nothing to lose at this point. We gain a lot of time there. Now through the last corner, turning in very late, taking it very nicely, opening the wheel up as quick as we can. We cross the line. It's a 5.83, I believe that is. And as you can see in the top left, we're actually out. But very, very close to getting through. We miss out by 300ths of a second. And as you can see, it's pretty annoying. We're only a 10th off Yarno and a 10th off Barry, and they got through. And I think that just shows the fine margins. But nevertheless, we will be starting... We'll be starting, I think it's P12. Yeah, P12 in this race. So here we go on the formation lap. We've got Brendan Lee ahead of us. Shanaka Clay, he actually opted to go through in the softs, but started 10th. So that's what I did not want to do. So I'm much rather be where we are now. We've got Nicholas behind us, Stein behind us as well. We've got 5 red lights. And away we go. Do we get a good start to any of the cars around us? We get a decent jump in Brendan Lee. We've got Nico Longe behind us. Can he get a move on us? We opt to take the outside line. I would like to try and sweep round outside of us. I notice we're 3 wide. I have a little bit of a dart to the right-hand side. Then there's 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars that was, and a little bit of a collision. We go round the outside of 3 of them. We're up to 9th place on the medium tires. It's been a very good start for us. We've still got Brendan Lee ahead of us. I have a feeling some people might have damage, but we now have Liam Parnell on the soft tire behind us. We do not want to get in any fights with him, as we know he's going to be much quicker than us throughout this race. But Brendan Lee, he is ahead of us. Can we make any inroads on him? We know he will not want to attack Shanaka, as Shanaka's on the soft compounded tire. If he fights him, it's just going to lose him time. So I was thinking, do we go for a move? We got a little bit deep into that corner, but we do have Liam Parnell behind us. We use a little bit of ERS just to make sure we're safe from Nico Longe in case he goes for a move. We use a little bit more, but we let Liam Parnell by. We decide to let him by. He is on the soft tire, so it's not a very smart decision to fight him. But we break going into this corner, and he's actually going very, very slow. We go round outside. You can see I'm complaining a little bit here, and I'm not too sure what happened. I believe he has damage because he was really slow on this soft tire through this first stint. He does send it back down the inside. I don't know if that was a defensive move or an actual move. And we look behind us, and the 2 Red Bulls are dueling coming out of that hairpin. And yeah, I'm not too sure if he has damage because he's going very slow for that soft compound tire. And we're in a very good position as who's that? I think that's Shanaka Clay. He was in the soft tire. He must have got damage as well. Goes into the pits. But crucially, Shanaka Clay pitting there lost his DRS. And now we're having to push to get into the DRS of the top 5. As you can see in your top left-hand of the screen, Ron Hart actually just got a penalty through that left-hand corner. So that's something to keep an eye on. Penalties are very crucial around this track. But yeah, on to lap 6, Liam Parnell still behind us. We move on to lap 11. Liam Parnell's pit. We've got Nico Longe. That's Alessio Di Capo. He pits. He was on the soft tires. A pretty late pit stop for him. And then we actually caught up to this train as we get our first warning on the entry curb of turn 1. That is an extremely lazy warning. We've not cut anything. We've just used too much track on entry. Onto lap 16 now. And Ron Hart still got his 3-second time penalty. And we want to pit. But if you just noticed for a moment there, our teammate, if you look at the top of the screen, teammate in pits, our teammate Barry Burmand, he actually pit. And I had a feeling that would happen. And I was pretty wary of it. And if he didn't pit, I was pitting that lap, but it's just a bit frustrating. And yeah, a bit of a shame because that's the lap I wanted to pit, but the double stacking in this game is not really good enough. It has improved, but I'd still lose a lot of time. So we go 1 lap longer. We follow the 2 Merc boys, and we actually opt to pit this lap. For some reason, Jake or Yarno do not pit. I wasn't really too sure why they stayed out so long. But we coming into the pits. As you can see, the tires, they're not too worn, but they're definitely losing time. It's mainly at this track. The wear isn't the biggest problem. It's usually the heat in the tires. They get to about 106, 105 as you come out of that S section, and especially when you're 40% wear, it makes it so much worse. But coming out of the pits now, you can see the cars ahead of us, Thomas Ronhar and all that, up at the top of the hill already. You can't see them now. They're the people who pit the lap before us, and look at the gap they've gained. That's about a 3 second. You can see top left hand of your screen, 3.5 second gap, just showing how powerful undercut and how good these soft tires are. And at this point, I was a little bit angry I didn't pit the lap before Barry. Even though he would have been, or the tires would have been completely done, I would have been in the train and in the fight. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll have much better soft tires, hopefully. But now we're trying to overtake Liam as he goes extremely slow through this hairpin. Again, I don't know if this is just the medium tires being bad, or if he's still carrying some damage. But nevertheless, we get through Liam, and Ronhar still 3.5 seconds ahead. Keep in mind, he will have DRS on this straight, as well as we do, to be fair, at the moment. But for all these laps, he's going to have DRS, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to catch up to him. But hopefully that penalty he has makes it easy for us just to nab that position off him without having to take it on track, excuse me. Going through turn 1 though, 8 laps to go, and that's Jarno and Jake. They've actually pit, and we move to lap 21, and Jarno's right behind us, 0.3 of a second. He pit a lap or two later than us, I think it was, so he's got pretty good fresh tyres, and it does make the difference, trust me. 1 lap, 2 lap fresh tyres is quite a big difference around this track. You can see Jake pit a lap after Jarno, and he's 4 seconds back, so I'm not too sure what they were doing with Jake. Not too sure if I agree with what they're doing with Jake, to be honest, but we'll see if it works out in the end of the race. It's a pretty optimistic strategy, a strategy most of Mark go for, and we actually get our other warning on the entry curb, and yeah, just amateur little stupid mistakes costing us here. I've not ever got warnings on the entry, and it's getting quite frustrating. But coming up to overtake Alessio, and we actually get another warning, and that amounts to a 3-second time penalty. And I was really angry with myself. That means we've got all 3 of our warnings on entry curbs now as we overtake Alessio. So very amateur mistakes right there, very stupid mistakes, very lazy mistakes, and not happy with myself. But we get past him onto lap 25 now. We get an instant 3 seconds, and at this point I've lost my head completely. That should just be a warning there, not an instant 3 seconds at all. And yeah, I was getting a bit stupid at this point. That will be removed, just so you're aware. So we're still in 3 seconds, and next up is Danny Bresney. He is in the medium tire. He done soft medium, and we've clearly done the wrong pit strategy, or whatever you want to call it, because he's still ahead of us on the soft medium strategy, or he's just pulled it off very well. And we move on to lap 6. We're going to go for a move, or try and go for a move in Danny Bresney. You can see we've barely got any ERS, but going into the end of this back straight, or we're going to dart to the inside line. Yes, we do. Down the inside line, we get a warning, going very tight to that inside line. We're going to try and round the outside of Danny Bresney. There's not much we can do. We get shoved off a little bit, and Danny Bresney wasn't having any of that. Can we fight him back anymore? He defends the inside line partially through this left-hand hairpin, and nothing can be made of it. Jake Benham still 1.8 seconds back. We move on to the last lap. Jake Benham right behind us. He's got no penalties. Danny Bresney has a penalty. Thomas Ronhar has 6 seconds as well. I'm not too sure if that's a removable penalty though. And now going into this last sector, can we do anything of it? So many cars ahead of us. Is there going to be any crashes? You can see Longy having a little look at Barry, I think that was. Is anything going to be made of it? It's extremely frustrating. We've got these penalties. As you can see, all the cars ahead of us. If we didn't have any penalties at the moment, we could be so high up the order at the end of this race. Now going through this final fast right-hander, can we do anything? Can anything happen ahead? Just a crash, just a spin, just anything that might gain us a position. It looks like nothing's going to happen. It looks like Jarno's going to come across the line to take the victory. Barry in second, Nico in third, and we're going to take P7 on track, P8 after penalties, but I believe it will be P7 once we get our penalty removed, because Ronhar, I don't think, has reported his warnings, so it must have all been legit warnings. As you can see, Jake gets 5th, and that's where we could have been if we didn't get stupid entry warnings, which were, they must be the most lazy warnings I've had in my life. Yeah, it was just really, really frustrating with myself, and I don't really need anyone to tell me that was a bad race, because I was extremely angry with myself after that. And yeah, we live and we learn, I guess. Hopefully next time out in Brazil I don't do that again, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's the editing was a little bit choppy, I noticed throughout it. So I hope that didn't put you off it at all. But I'm sure you know when you commentate over races that have not went well, the motivation to do so is pretty low. But if you guys have enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe. It means quite a lot if you can subscribe. Leave a comment if you want any questions, whatever. And next video should be Brazil, which is next week at Wednesday. So it'll be out round about the same time as this video. And hopefully that goes well. I believe we're 7th in the standings after missing roughly 5 races, I think it was. So it's gone pretty well. I'm pretty proud of the season so far, apart from this race, which was pretty poor and lackluster. But P7 it is, by the looks of it. It could be higher after penalties, but I doubt it. And yeah, it won't be much higher if it is higher. So if you guys have enjoyed the video, do all the things I said before, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. The whole thing